Tired of fantasy literature that caters only to wine-ounts and activists? Tired of love triangles and unlikable girl bosses? Tired of propaganda disguised as entertainment? If so, check the Guilds of Avlaan series, a series like no other ever written in the Western market, with cute and funny female leads and dashing male protagonists. This series is full of adventure and exciting landscapes. Do not let others decide what you enjoy. Look for what you enjoy. If you are interested, the link is in the description.
Hello everyone, Daniel Cornejo here, and today we are going to address the cat in the room. Cat because we are going to talk about Yani Neko. What I want to talk about regarding Yani Neko is the fact that it might become a problem within the industry. It might become a negative influence within the industry, and it might harm otaku. And we are already seeing the negative effects of interactions between otaku regarding it. First of all, I'm not saying Yani Neko shouldn't exist. I'm not saying it should be censored. I'm not saying you are a bad person or anything if you like it. First of all, I would say I consider it tasteless, I consider it disgusting. I do consider if you like it, your taste is not that good, because you like something ugly, you like something tasteless, but that doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't make you whatever offensive term they want to use on you. It just means you don't have that much of a good taste and you like something that is distasteful. Same as with people who like harem. I think it's subjectively in bad taste. I think it's actually an objectively bad story in many ways, and in particular because the only positive people can find about it, and they insist a lot on it, is that it has a message against being addicted to tobacco. You know quite well what I say about the message. I said it before that I hate it, that I think it was wrong when Captain Planet did it, and I think it's wrong when Yani Neko does it, and I think in general it's bad that something has its only redeeming quality in the message. I made a whole video about it. I said I don't like to write that and I don't like to consume that. I don't like propaganda. And if the only redeeming quality of Yani Neko is basically that it is anti-tobacco propaganda, I don't like it. And I think it's bad. And I will say, in general, all gross out humor is bad. All gross out humor. Even if you find it funny, even if I find it funny, all gross out humor is bad. It's objectively bad. Because it's the lowest form of humor. Because it's humor that doesn't require anything positive in it. It's disgusting and it's bad. And the other defense for Yani Neko is exactly that it is gross out humor and that you should be an adult and tolerate it. And I don't like it. I don't like gross out humor. I don't like depictions of feces, and especially not when they are extremely realistic. And I don't like the idea of someone having a literal turd in her bedroom and using it to extinguish smokes. I don't like that. I find it disgusting. I find it grotesque. So when basically you are defending Yani Neko, saying, oh, but it's gross out humor and you should be an adult and you should be a man, the problem is not that it exists, and that's the core of the problem. It is bad, first of all. It is bad. Before anyone says, oh, but it is good, no, it is bad. Because it's gross out humor plus the message. And the message is bad and gross out humor is bad. And it don't really has anything good. And people say, oh, but it's realistic. Realism is bad. And I will say it, and I have said it before, I don't like realism. I oppose realism. I have opposed the message, realism, gross out humor many times, and I won't support it just because it's wearing a Catgirl skin suit. And that's the other part I don't like. I don't like the idea of things that and also depression porn and all that stuff. I don't like the idea of things that I don't like and that I consider negative, nihilistic cynicism, gross out humor, depression porn, propaganda, wearing a skin suit of things that are cute and I like Catgirls. For example, another show that is upcoming, that is this show of the girls who basically it's all cute and colorful, but it's about a bunch of drug addicts in a ruined society. I don't like that. I find it disgusting. I didn't like the copy because it's basically depression porn with cute characters. I think that's bad. I think that's bad. I think it's disgusting. I think it's unpleasant. The difference is I don't want it censored. I say it should exist. I actually gave a chance to the copy. Regret of my life. Wasted time. I read the manga. I didn't watch the anime. I decided to read the manga because it's faster. I regret it. Every second of it. But here's the thing. And this is the difference. I don't want it censored. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean I want it censored. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean I don't believe people like it. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean I hate the people who like it. But that's where the problem begins. Because I'm starting to see a trend of overhyping these things, then becoming popular by force, and I will explain later on why I say by force, and then more of these things emerging, and that's what I don't want to happen. I don't want more things like Yani Neko coming out because it becomes a trend. I don't want anime to become exactly like American animation, that it's children and disgusting shit. Why? Because I consider Yani Neko basically the Family Guy of anime. Family Guy is a comedy show for adults that has gross out humor, disgusting things, vulgarity, violence, all that stuff. And since it was a hit, everyone is imitating it. And I don't want basically the Rick and Morty of anime to come out as a result of Yani Neko. I don't want it to become a trend. I think it's fine that it exists. It's acceptable that it exists. It's fine that people like it. They have the right to like it, to enjoy it, to buy it. I don't want it to replace all the other adult-oriented anime with things like Yani Neko. And that could happen. Why? Because it happened in America. You had adult animation before Family Guy, which had more variety than after a Family Guy. Of course, because of the amount of content, it won't be that big of a problem that fast. But I don't want basically the snowball effect of Family Guy occurring because of Yani Neko. That will lead to only gross out humor comedy being the only form of adult animation, which is what happened thanks to Family Guy. Basically, most of Western adult animation is things like Rick and Morty. Because of Family Guy, it's that snowball effect I'm talking about. First comes Family Guy, then it starts snowballing into Rick and Morty, and then everything is a clone of Rick and Morty, and that's basically all you have in adult-oriented animation. I don't want that to happen to anime. That's why I don't like Yani Neko at an ethical level, not only at a personal level. I don't like it at a personal level. I find it disgusting, I find it unpleasant, but that's personal, and that's my opinion, and I express it, but I don't care if it has no impact or influence. The part that worries me is where I don't like it at an ethical level, where I think it's dangerous for something to like Yani Neko to become too popular. And that's where the problem begins, because there are people who want to popularize it. First of all, First of all, if you like it, I have no issues with that. If you don't like it, we are on the same team. But once I'm done explaining this, people who like it might hate it, and people who don't like it will feel vindicated. Why? Because the problem begins when there are people, and it's happening already. There are people who basically say, if you don't like Yani Neko, you are a tourist. If you don't like Yani Neko, you are wrong. If you don't like Yani Neko, you don't have good taste. If you don't like Yani Neko, you are a shonen tart. That's where the problem begins. That's where I should say you should worry. That's where I am worried. And I'm starting to see the same pattern repeating with other things. Like, for example, with Harem. After Yani Neko, you had a very viral post recently made by someone on Twitter saying that if you don't like Harem, you are a fucking tourist because Harem is fundamental to anime. First of all, yes, Harem is fundamental to anime to some extent, to the niche of Harem. Harem is a part of anime, it is true, it's a genre of anime and it is a trope. As a trope, I can tolerate it and you can find it in many shows as a trope. For example, in Isekai, you will find plenty of harem in Isekai as a trope. As a genre, I hate it. Notice I said I tolerate it as a trope, not I like it as a trope. And as a genre, I absolutely hate it. I don't like it and I will never like it. Why? Because I stopped liking it. I didn't hate it out of nowhere. First of all, I tolerate it in Isekai. Because the times back when I liked it, it was because I liked it in Isekai. Because the harem protagonists in Isekai aren't as weak and disgusting as the ones in rom-coms. And in harem as a genre. That's the point. I stopped liking harem because I realized it was too uncool for me. It doesn't go with my style, and it is not, and it is too immature, and it doesn't go with me. It doesn't go well with me. If you like it, that's fine. I don't even think less of you. With the people who like Yani Neko, with some I do think less of them. With some I do think less of them. With not all. But with some I do. Because as I said, it's fine if you like it. But it's not good quality writing. That's for certain. As I said, I tolerate it because I liked it in a few isekai shows. But when you go deeper into it, the problem with harem is usually the male protagonist. He's just so annoying, so disgusting. So unbearable. Because he's a weak retard. He has no redeeming qualities and he usually doesn't have any remarkable qualities at all. Even the bad qualities are just being pathetic, not being... He's not particularly violent, he's not particularly mean-spirited, he's not particularly cruel, except for Makoto from School Days, but that's another thing. He's just pathetic. And that's why people don't like harem. At least why I stopped liking it as a genre, and then as I grew older and I realized, dude, this isn't cool. This is totally uncool. And for example, something that worries me is that with Yani Neko there is the argument of realism that weakens when, for example, I don't like harem in part because I find it too unrealistic, because I find it beyond my suspension of disbelief. But if you like it, that's fine. Because realism shouldn't be a measure for anything. It just gets in the way of my suspension of disbelief. But if it doesn't affect yours, yeah, that's fine. If it doesn't affect you, that's fine. Go ahead, enjoy it. If it doesn't hurt you, enjoy it. If it isn't bad for you, enjoy it. That's simple. If it isn't bad for you, enjoy it. But it's not for me. It's not my thing. It's not my style. And that's the thing. I don't have an issue with you liking harem. But that's where the problem begins. Because I saw that post and I realized it was it was the inevitable conclusion of basically saying you're a tourist for not liking things, which is happening with Yani Neko. There is a difference between not liking and wanting it censored, or attacking the people who like it. That's the thing. I don't mind if people don't like lolicon. I think their taste is inferior because loli is the superior taste, and opai loli is the superior taste of the superior taste. And if you say otherwise, that's because you are delusional. Because nothing beats a very small and cute loli, a bit chubby, with big cups, like Galena. Nothing beats that. Because she's cute and small and chubby and has breasts that are slightly larger than they should be for someone that is small. That's hot. That's hot. And if you think it's not, you're delusional. I'm exaggerating, but I think it is really hot. That's the thing. If you don't like it, that's fine. If you are a lolly purist like Pipa, go ahead, that's fine. She's such a damn purist that she basically says, yeah, Anya is a lolly, but Megumin isn't. Damn, that's being a purist. And she's aggressive about it because she's actually a lolicon and she has said it. But she doesn't define what you define as lolly as lolly. She's a very strong purist, and that's hard to argue with because she has a point. In her measure, it makes sense, but in reality, it makes no sense. So she's wrong, but she has a strong argument despite being that wrong. And the thing is, if you're a lolly purist, that's fine. If you don't like it, that's fine. The problem is when you want to change what other people like, when you want to censor it, when you want to persecute the people who like it. And that's where I will say I will stand for the people who do like Yani Neko and defend them. But here is the part where I say if you don't like it, you will feel vindicated, and if you like it, you might hate it by the end of this video. Because as I said, there are people who feel forced to like it. And there are people who are exerting pressure to make you like it. And they are saying that if you don't like it, you are a tourist. And that's wrong. That's wrong. Nobody should say you don't like it, you are a tourist. Nobody should say you need to like it to not be a tourist. And you shouldn't feel pressured to like it, which is another problem. I fight against peer pressure constantly because I opposed it, because I suffered through it when I was a teenager and I hate it. The idea of seeing people exerting peer pressure to force people into liking something they don't like, under the threat of if you don't like it, you are a tourist, and these people basically going into flock mentality mode and saying, yeah, if you don't like it, you are a tourist, while they force themselves. And this is the part where I say if you like it, you might hate it by the end of the video, because you might think, wait, why am I forcing myself? They force themselves to pretend to like it or to like it, and they don't even stop and think for themselves about it. That's where I say you might hate it by the end of this video, because you might stop and say, well, yeah, I forced myself into liking it because I was suffering peer pressure because I didn't want to be a tourist. And now that I realize I don't need to like it to not be a tourist, God, I hate it. That could happen to you. I'm not saying it will, but that could happen to you. Because once you realize that, you stop forcing yourself, and then you can figure out if you like it or not, for real. If you like it after processing that you don't need to force yourself into liking it. If you still like it after not forcing yourself to liking it, yeah, you like it. That's fine. But if you realize you don't need to force yourself into it and you hate it, I'm sorry to tell you, but you were suffering from peer pressure and you need to break free. And that's the thing. I'm seeing people exerting peer pressure to defend this show. And I think it's astroturf by these people. And I think it's astroturf by the trend. And I think once the season ends, Some people might actually even forget about it. It's not that great, it's not that good. It is weird, it is to some extent innovative, not that much, to some extent only. But it's not good. And I think it's the same that happened with Nukitashi. People were hyping it because they are starving from quality. They haven't seen something good in a while. And it's not that it doesn't exist. It's that it often doesn't leave Japan. It doesn't air on streaming platforms. Yani Neko, Takopi, Nukitashi managed to reach outside of Japan. Some of the best quality content doesn't. And that's why people get overhyped with these things, because they aren't good. These people are so desperate and starved for fan service, desperate and starved for innovation, desperate and starved for creativity, that they will eat a slop if it has a different color, even if it's still a slop. And that's the sad part with this. Yani Neko is exactly that. And the problem is that it might create a negative tendency. Two negative tendencies. One, more anime like it. It's not bad that more anime like it exists, but if it's created because of this astroturfing and it becomes fashion, again, Family Guy to Rick and Morty. It's the snowball effect. The other negative effect is that these people who are basically trying to gatekeep anyone who doesn't like it, just on the basis that they don't like it, not on the basis that they don't want to censor them or anything, might create other idiots in other niches who will do the same. And that's the problem. That's the problem I saw with this post about harem, that they're basically saying, if you don't like harem, you're a tourist, you are wrong, you should leave, you are not a real fan. That's not how it works, you fucking idiot. Because there are multiple genres and people don't need to like all of them. Actually, liking all of them is bad, because that means you don't have a real taste. You just eat the slop, you just consume blindly. You cannot like a genre, you cannot like isekai, you cannot like harem, you cannot like loli. You can dislike tropes and genres. That doesn't mean, as long as you don't want it censored, that doesn't mean you are a tourist or there is something wrong with you. I, for example, hate school romances. I hate rom-coms. I hate school romances because they remind me of how disgusting school romances were in real life, in my experience. It was just drama. I don't like rom-coms because they are just drama. I don't like same-age relationships, and I basically don't like stories with same-age relationships. Why? Because they remind me of the drama, of the traumatic experiences of my life. That doesn't mean I want them censored. That doesn't mean if you like them, there is something wrong with you. For example, I didn't spend a second of my life watching Nagatoro because I knew I wouldn't like it. I knew I would just be annoyed all the time while reading it or watching it. But there are people who loved it. And that's fine. And actually, I think it's good. I don't like it, but I think Nagatoro is objectively good. I just don't like it, because it has plenty of tropes I don't like, and it's a rom-com. But there is a difference between personal taste and objectivity. Objectively, I think it's good. Maybe I'm wrong, because I didn't like it, but looking at the people who like it and the people who praise it and the positives they point at, objectively it's good. I just don't like it because it has tropes that I don't like. It's a personal thing. Because it's a genre I don't like, it's a personal thing. I don't want it censored. That's the thing. I don't want it censored. Just because it reminds me of my trauma doesn't mean it's bad. And doesn't mean I want it censored. I just don't like it. I just don't watch it. I don't think there is something wrong with you for liking it. I don't think you're a pedophile for liking it. I don't think you're a bad person for liking it. If I wanted it censored, if I thought there was something wrong with you for liking it, then I would be a tourist. But not liking things, not consuming things doesn't make you a tourist. And as I said, thanks to Yani Neko, now you have plenty of fans who basically say, if you don't like this thing I do like, there is something wrong with you. And it's happening with Yani Neko, and it's happening with harem. And it will keep happening. if we don't stop it. And that's the other negative I see in Yani Neko. So basically, I don't want Yani Neko to become a trend, and I don't want people to start gatekeeping anyone who just doesn't like it. And I don't want it to snowball into other people gatekeeping whatever they like, gatekeeping people over whatever they like, be it mecha, be it harem, be it isekai, be it loli, whatever. If you don't like it, that's fine. Don't like it, don't buy it. Don't try to change it, don't try to censor it. And remember, gatekeeping is about is about gatekeeping the people who want to change what you like. People who don't like what you like, they gatekeep themselves. They should just move on. And people who don't like one thing you like and like another thing you like, as long as they don't want to affect negatively the thing you like, that's fine. We don't have the obligation to like all the same things. And you might be watching this and disagreeing with me on Yani Neko, on its quality, on the positives, on the negatives. And that's fine. You're wrong. I think you're wrong because I think it's bad qualitatively speaking. But it's fine that you disagree with me. And it's fine that you like it. I don't have a problem with you liking it even if I think it's bad. The problem is when you demand other things to be more like it, or when you demand people who don't like it to be treated as outcasts. When you force people into liking it, when you think everyone should like it, that's wrong. That's when it is wrong. And it's also wrong when when people force themselves to like it just to fit in, and it's wrong when it becomes a trend, when it becomes a tendency, and then you have many imitations and the market gets saturated. And that's my worry. I think I explained it clear enough. I hope I did, because that's it for today. Have a good one.